My name is Peter Pelissier. I'm a veterinarian. I'm the owner and managing partner at Mountain View Veterinary Hospital. I'm here this evening really for two reasons. I just found out, which was a little troubling, kind of bothersome, that I just found out, that there was a second reading on an ordinance that certainly affects all the veterinarians in this community, yet strangely none of us were consulted in this process. There's over a dozen qualified public health and state health officials in this community who have a lot more experience with this, frankly, than all the members on this council combined. Yet I think there's the feeling among all of us that we were just really glossed over on that. So I think that's one area, and I would really encourage the council, if there is a future matter that comes up with animal health welfare, that's part of our oath. Okay, that's something that we deal with, and that's something that our continuing education yearly. I mean, that stays very, very current with that. The matter at question was actually the reference to neglect or abuse. This would be, I believe, chapter, and if I'm misphrasing this, my apologies, chapter 6, 32, and I think it was number 11 on this. On the red line states that performs or procures an operation declawing an animal unless such operation is deemed medically necessary to address an illness, infection, disease, injury, or condition that compromises the animal's health. What I can tell you is that all of the governing organizations in veterinary medicine right now, which and I have all of our position statements, if you guys would like to take a look at those. Okay, all of those are as recent as 2017 and 2020. Those organizations are the American Veterinary Medical Association, the American Animal Hospital Association, the American Association of Feline Practitioners, and the ASPCA. Right now, the position, I think all of us share that, is that the act of declawing an animal is highly, highly discouraged. Okay. I can tell you that, I pulled numbers before this meeting. Since 2017, our practice, which has 4 doctors and over 14,000 patient visits per year, has performed a total of 25 of these procedures. Since 2018, we have performed 10. So I think you can see that the word is out with veterinarians. Again, ultimately who decides if your cat is declawed is not you, it's me. I'm the one who's going to make that decision. And I can certainly tell you that, not that procedure is even requested that often anymore, but when it is, over 95% of the time, that client's going to walk out of there and say, oh, I didn't know there were so many different alternatives to that. In that 5% of the time, and not to go into take up too much time with this, but you see individuals that have multiple cats, multiple cat households. And I'm not necessarily talking about people keeping 50 cats in their barn. I'm talking people who have maybe 3, 4, 5 cats. Periodically you'll get a young cat. Well, you bring one of the other cats to me 2 or 3 times in a year for an abscess, you're going to spend $700 or $800. There are situations where that maybe is not medically necessary, but it's much better than the animal being destroyed. So I guess I'm here asking you to kind of just consider that perhaps this is a little bit of overreach, at least that. I think most of the veterinarians in the community certainly feel that way. And again, that's our job to do that. None of us do that. I've probably done hundreds of these surgeries in my career. I didn't like doing one of them, and I always tell owners that. So again, it is a very, very infrequent procedure, but I would ask the council, Mr. Mayor, for you guys just to kind of consider that. I mean, that's our job, as a veterinarian, my relationship with my clients, I mean, that's my job, is to take them through the pros and cons of that. And I would ask you to do that. And just lastly, I can tell you that the enforceability of declaw bans is being studied very extensively right now. 2 states in the United States allow it, California and New York State, or have a declaw ban, statewide declaw ban. And it's not implementing well. It's not. There's a lot of problems with this. How are you going to enforce this? I mean, you're just not. I mean, somebody, says, hey, your cat's declawed, who's your vet? Well, you better go get a subpoena, because I can't release that information to you. So I think the enforceability of it. But I think what the council would find, if you spoke with veterinarians in the community, is it really is not a very frequently sought after procedure, and 99% of the time, it's, even when it is sought after, it's not done because people take alternatives. So thanks very much for your consideration. I appreciate the time. Thank you.
Before you go, does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, I appreciate you coming. I'm Jacob Martin, and I proposed the amendment for the declawing, and I doubted that it was something that was often performed. It was in no way meant to disregard the veterinarians. I just had dived into it, and like you, thought it was not something that should be done unless medically necessary. For example, just to avoid the cat scratching, things like that. And I thought it just fit with the cruelty to do it just for cosmetic purposes. And I don't see why it would hurt to be in the ordinance, just to set a precedent. I don't think you'll always be the only veterinarian here, and I certainly respect you and your practice. And so the amendment wasn't an insult by any means.
And for what it's worth, Councilman Martin, I did not take it as an insult, and I don't think any of my colleagues took it as known. Exactly, but
you at all.
But I do think that, feline declaw, could it potentially be banned nationally at some point? It may happen, but right now all the governing bodies of veterinary medicine allow it, but it is highly, highly discouraged. I mean, it really is, and I think most veterinarians feel that way. So, I mean, if somebody comes in and says, hey, I just bought a $12,000 couch and I want my cat declawed, I'm probably going to laugh and say, well, don't let them scratch a couch, but I'm not going to cut the ends of their fingers off because you decide to get a couch. So, and I think most veterinarians are like that. But again, I think that's something that veterinarians, I obviously can't speak for all veterinarians, but the counsel that we have with our clients, we put a lot into that, and we recognize that our clients put 100% of their trust in us. They just give it to you. So, we want to be true to that, but first and foremost, we want to take really good care of our patients. And after we kind of tell them, it's like, usually it's just not necessary to do it, but a couple times there are. But anyway.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you all.